Roblox events are great. There's been Roblox events from as long as we remember, dating all the way back to 2007. And there's been a lot, whether it's just sponsored promotions of like adding a brand new SpongeBob event, Kung Fu Panda movie event, music contests, etc. There's a ton, and it would be way too long to really make a video on. I could, but there's a lot of irrelevant, a lot of bad ones out there. But there's a lot of good Roblox events, such as the egg hunts. Almost all of them were bangers, until they decided to stop doing them, and basically clickbaited us when they announced The Hunt, where it would be similar to Egg Hunt, but it really wasn't. Yes, some of the games in The Hunt were Easter themed and had egg hunt themes, but for the most part it obviously wasn't. But we're not going to be talking about all the events. We're going to be talking about all the 2024 Roblox events. So that includes these events right here. These 6 events were the biggest 2024 events that all had similarities, at least for the most part. And these were all pretty big events that are definitely pretty popular, especially in number. I think the most popular was The Hunt, and they pretty much took exactly what The Hunt did and rebranded it for these newer Roblox events such as the Classic, the Haunt, and the Games. Every event, they add their own little twist to it, but they're definitely taking inspiration from their origin, which was Roblox the Hunt. Regardless, I want to rank which ones out of all 6 of these events were the best and which ones were the worst. Since I've played every single one of these, experienced them all the way to the brim, every single little aspect and detail, and since the Haunt just ended, I think it's time to now fully rate these games. Which one really is the best? Which Roblox event really was the best? And which one was the worst? Let's get it started. First, we have Roblox Innovation Awards 2024. And in this Roblox event, basically all you did was vote. I mean, that's what it was all about. It has a very nice looking hub. Obviously, graphically, these Roblox events, especially the newer ones, are some of the best looking graphically and just by its design. But yeah, this really wasn't your ordinary Roblox event. It was pretty much just a voting hub that really forced users to really vote and actually participate, which I actually think is good because it really gave people more of an incentive to actually participate and vote, because a lot of people don't even usually vote for these type of games. People don't really participate. But since they added free items that you can get by voting daily, that gave people an actual reason to vote, because they're like, oh, free limited time items, I need that, let me participate. So every day you could vote for a specific genre or topic, like who is the best video star, Connor 3D, Pokey, Lana Ray, Creekcraft, VooruS. Sup. But there was a bunch of different types of things you could vote for, which was the best strategy game, which was the best collaboration, which was the best shooter, the best horror game. There was a bunch of different things you can vote for, and this isn't new, this has been done before, but they also do give you the chance to play the games before you vote them. I'm sure there definitely was people who decided to play some of these games for the first time, if they haven't already, so they can have a better prediction or vote. But there wasn't really a reason to play any of these games. It was all just about voting, and if you got your vote right, you would earn more points, which you use the points to unlock the free items, which some of these items were actually relatively decent looking. You could get all these items here. I don't really like them too much. I think the color combo's good, and it's just cool to get these free, unique, limited time items. I wouldn't really go for these ever. I think the only good looking one is the hat, the witch's hat, and maybe the crown, because it does have the Roblox logo on there. It looks alright. But here are some of the items here. This is the pin that goes on your shirt here. It just says Roblox Innovation Awards 2024 so that you participated in it. I don't know who would really wear this and be like, yeah, I rep that shit. I was a part of the Roblox Innovation Awards 2024. Like, it's really not that much of a flex, but I guess you do you. Maybe in like 10 years, it would be cooler because it's like, wow, that's pretty OG, dude. And then you have this wizard hat, which is kind of cool. I like how they added the little Roblox logo on it. The color combination is pretty unique and I like it. This is definitely quite nice. I wouldn't ever really wear this, but it isn't too bad looking, especially if you know, combine it with hair and make it look prettier. You definitely can. And then you have this sash, which is kind of like, it's a skirt. It's labeled as a skirt. So this is more for Arthro, which Roblox definitely does like add kind of a mix between R6 and Rthro. You can't blame them because there is people who do use Rthro and they don't obviously like the blocky based shit. So they kind of have to do both and able to please both audiences. But yeah, like what the hell is this? And the same thing goes for their like shoulder pads. This is considered a jacket, which this is mainly, this is like football. It kind of looks like a football fucking like XFL kind of deal. And their last item, which was one of the best looking ones, was of course the Roblox crown, because this is actually kind of cool. It has the Roblox logo. You know, if you want to rep Roblox, this is one of the best items you're probably gonna get. Repping the Cheez-It logo. I just love Cheez-Its this much that I gotta rep it. But yeah, the items are, I would say this is some of the worst looking ones. I guess like this one and maybe the hat is alright. The rest are pretty dog shit. But this is like not really your average event. It worked perfectly fine. I think how it worked was good for a voting system. So it's kind of hard to rank this. But if I had to rank it, I mean, it's like, I don't know, because this is not like the hunt. This is nothing, like it has similarities with the limited time items and kind of the same similar design. And even the map design is similar to the hunt. But obviously, you're not obligated to play any of the games and all you do is vote. So it's like, was it really that good? I don't know. Like what it did was, it's for voting and the voting system was fine. I like how they're actually giving you prizes for voting instead of just voting for no reason. Like it's good. I'm gonna rank this average because like, there's nothing wrong with it for what it's worth. So for what it's for, it's not for the games, it's literally just for voting, and it does exactly that, but better. So I would say it's honestly pretty good, but it doesn't have much to it. And the items kind of suck ass. Next we have Roblox The Classic. Considered by many the best Roblox event in 2024. I remember when they were announcing this, I was super hyped because I love the classic style. I'm a pretty OG player, so obviously I liked how they were, you know, doing an event in the classic theme. A lot of people were disappointed with this event because they didn't really include practically any quote-unquote classic games on Roblox. A lot of the games that were involved, which there wasn't many, weren't classic. And I can see why people would be upset, but that wasn't the reason. It was just for certain Roblox games to make a classic styled event and in their Roblox games for the classic event. It never indicated that it was like, all right, go play classic games. I feel like that would be a little lazy. Like, oh, let's just put a bunch of classic games on there and force players to play them. Like, that's just pretty lazy. And you could say, well, maybe they could have added a classic event in those classic games. And yes, they could have, but most of those classic games do not get updated ever. Most of them are broken, and some of the devs don't even work on that anymore. So you wouldn't even be able to really update them ever again. So I don't think it would really work out. So I don't have a problem with them not adding any classic games to the event games list. Though obviously they could have definitely chose better games. I'm not really that disappointed in some of the games that were chosen. But this has introduced the amazing Event Hub stuff that you can do. Certain quests specifically for the Event Hub. You can get all these classic items that work for quests you can do in the game. Like, you kind of need some of these items for quests to get some tokens to get the free items. One problem is the Classic has some of the least amount, I believe the least amount of items that you can get in the event. And honestly, the items are kind of mid. I would say obviously the Deity Shawl is pretty bad. The Reign of Awesomeness is alright. You know, it has the like crown and wings. You know, a lot of these are just newer takes on older items, such as the Happy Bucket and the Erebus, which these look nice. They're alright. Me personally, even though I like the way the classic items look, like the actual classic items, there's definitely better ones that they could have chosen. Like, I was never really a fan of the bucket hat, and the Night Helm is alright, but I wasn't really too much of a fan of the items in this event. But they do kind of match the classic theme, at least the helmet and the Erebus. But for the most part, you know, since there's only 4, there's not much to choose from. They're alright, but there's definitely better. But that's not the highlight of this event. The highlight was obviously the whole classic theme, and especially the Event Hub. I think everybody thinks this is the best Event Hub out of any of the Roblox events, and I would probably have to agree. Not only does it have the classic theme, there's just so much you can do, and so many like different Easter eggs, quests you can complete, and there's just a lot. They even have like a lot of classic additions like the old Roblox menu chat. They even brought back HelperBot. Oops, sorry, HelperBot. You can even bully HelperBot in this game. That's fucking awesome. One thing is I like how you can actually knock players into the portals like this. You're forced to play Adopt Me now! But the games that were chosen weren't terrible. They had Restaurant Tycoon 2, Driving Empire, Bed Wars, Adopt Me, Dusty Trip, Gunfight Arena, Blade Ball, Arsenal, Tower Defense Simulator, Bee Swarm Simulator, Livetopia, Toilet Tower Defense, Clip It, Dress to Impress, and Dragon Adventures. Now, there's obviously some dog shit in there, but there's also a decent amount of good games in there as well. Obviously, a weird list, kind of, but a lot of these games actually did have pretty good event quests that were related to the classic style that were actually pretty good. But obviously, the items are not terrible. I'm not really that much of a fan because it's kind of just like a fake classic item. Like, it's like you're getting a Wish version of, like, Jordans or something, like classic 2002 Jordans. I do like how the Erebus does have, like, a purple glow on it. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the items, but they're alright. They're definitely better than the Innovation Awards, that's for sure. Even though there's not many. I wish there was more. I believe this event just didn't even last that long. Now, the ending of the event, you can actually fight 1x, 1x, 1x by completing a certain code to get in and fight him. Which was definitely, it was a little underwhelming, but it was like a classic sword fight, and it was pretty cool. Now, I know most people complained about the games not being that good in this event, which was one of the downsides, and is probably the only downside of this event. Was, yeah, there was a lot of pretty bad games. I mean, like Toilet Tower Defense, Adopt Me, Clip It. Even though a lot of them did have the classic style going on for them, a lot of them just didn't have really fun or interesting or even creative of events for their game. There was actually mainly just bad or not that fun experiences within the classic event. But there was some good ones. I believe Blade Ball was actually kind of unique, where you fought 1x, 1x, 1x. Driving Empire was kind of cool, where you race in a classic map. Arsenal was really good, where they had a whole ass campaign based in the classic style. And of course, Dusty Trip was also very good with their entire classic map as well. So there's definitely good things in there, but for the most part, a lot of the games were pretty mediocre. So yeah, the only real flaws with the classic was there wasn't many items. The event didn't last that long. There was a decent selection of games. There wasn't many at all, but it was alright. But most of the games were pretty bad. But I would still say this is definitely our first good tier. I think the hub is really, really good. The entire classic style is really good. And the hub is just obviously the best part. But the overall theme, the items were pretty decent. And there's just a lot of good things about this event. So I think good tier is definitely good for this event. But it wasn't perfect. Next we have Roblox The Haunt. This event just recently ended. Well, not entirely, but it basically did. As today, as I'm recording this, the event has gotten one of its last updates where you can finally get all the items. They went with the Innovation Awards route where you had to keep coming back daily in order to actually get items, basically forcing you to keep consistently playing the game and gaining more visits for the game. It's a cheesy way, but it is what it is. It's not the biggest problem. Especially when it's as easy as taking a screenshot. Now, the Haunt's name is, it's definitely not unique, but it makes sense. It's kind of like a parody on Roblox The Hunt. All they did was add an extra A, and there you go. It's the scary version of The Hunt. This event is getting, like, probably the most hate out of all Roblox events, and there's a reason why. Me, personally, I don't mind it as much. I will say it is probably the best graphically for the hub. I mean, I think the hub is, I think most people would agree, is the best looking out of all the events. And arguably the best hub. I mean, it definitely competes with the classic for being a very good hub. I mean, there's some pretty unique quests, and I don't know if I would say they're arguably better. It just depends if you are living in nostalgia or appreciating a more newer graphical style more. So it's kind of just up to you. So as far as the event hub goes, yeah, graphically it's very, very good. I really like how they display a bunch of the community's pictures on the wall for each theme. I think that's really cool. And the event hub is really, really massive. There's like 4 floors and also different areas in the backyard, like a cemetery, a maze garden, other areas. The quests in the event hub are definitely pretty good as well, where you actually have to dig up graves for... Now, as far as the event items go, I also think it's arguably the best, at least in my style of design. I mean, it's horror themed. It's Halloween horror themed, so it's all black and scary looking, or just, you know, Halloween-ish. I really like a lot of the items, and I think that's definitely a highlight. For me personally, it's my favorite set of items that you can get, and there's, I think, the most amount of items you can get in the Haunt compared to every other Roblox event. There's 5 normal items you can get from just voting, there's 2 from submitting captures, and there's even 2 more if you manage to win a certain category. So that's like nearly 10 whole ass free items that you can get. And plus, of course, you have the cursed versions, which is like the bling track, the paid version of the items. The event hub items are also really cool. I love the wheelchair. You can go pretty fast around the map. It's pretty fun to do. But as far as the overall mechanic of the game, this is where it falls flat. Yes, it is a unique aspect where they were going for more of a costume contest deal where every day there would be a different theme that you have to take a screenshot for with the brand new revamped capture feature in certain games of either your outfit or, you know, a certain thing in that game that matches the theme. And you as a player can vote for the best out of the community's captures and also submit your own to potentially be on the list of the top 50. And yeah, every day was a different theme, and I thought, you know, it's a cool idea, it's just too simple and too quick. It doesn't add replayability at all. It's literally you get on, take a screenshot in like 10 seconds with your outfit or a creature in a game, and then leave for the rest of the day, or do your daily voting, and yeah. There's basically no reason to play any of the game's events. Obviously, you have to go into the game just to take the screenshot, but these games that actually, some of them put actual effort into their events specifically for the Haunt, yet there's no real reason to actually go and do those events. Now, I, of course, completed every single one of their events, which I do appreciate, and there is some good and some bad. There's actually some bangers in there, like Pressure, The Mimic, Dress to Impress, Doors, Piggy, etc., Dusty Trip. There's some bangers that actually put quite a bit of effort into their event, yet there's really no reason to participate in it. Which is I think the main reason why this game is getting a lot of heat. Because there's really nothing else bad about it. There's just no reason to play any of these Roblox games. And it's just too simple of a concept, of a mechanic, the screenshot mechanic. It's cool, unique, but it's way too simple, and it just doesn't really add any replay value or playability to this event. So that's the real reason on why this game is really getting hate. Other than that, it's pretty flawless, I feel like. I will have to say this is definitely average. I don't think it's good, even though I want to put it at good. The whole mechanic is really the biggest deal. Like, if that's bad, then pretty much the whole event is ruined. And that's the case here. The mechanic and the whole formula of the event is just too simple to where it doesn't benefit any of the games. There's pretty much no reason to have games in this event. And it's pretty much just slapping every developer who participated and actually made a whole ass event in their game for the Haunt. Because there's literally no reason in doing those. I don't think it's bad like a lot of people say though, just because there's so many good things about it. It's just that the whole screenshot thing, even though it's cool, it's just way too simple. Like the classic in the Hunt had it good with how you actually have to go and complete quests within each and every single one of these games in order to get the tokens and ticks for in-hub items and the exclusive free items. There was actually an incentive to branch out and play each and every single one of the games that were participants in the event. Rather, there's no reason in the Haunt. Next, we have Inspire 2024. Now, this is barely a Roblox event, but it did offer some free items that you can get by participating in this little experience. Now, Roblox Inspire was totally different than any other Roblox event. It was a Roblox event, a small one, that was centered around teaching people to collaborate with others and offering insights from established developers. So basically you can talk to other developers about building your games. So it's all about game building and game creating on Roblox as a platform, and just speaking, you know, giving you an opportunity to speak with other like-minded developers or very experienced, very talented developers to teach you their ways. That's the whole gist of the event, and that's pretty much all there was to it. It was barely a Roblox event, and obviously it doesn't really compete with any of the events on this list, but I will say graphically this does look very good. Even though it's a small lobby, this barely looks like Roblox. Like, there's RTX flooring, really good lighting, and the overall design of this experience is obviously a plus. And there was only like a few, or like 2 items that you can get in the game, which was a cowboy hat and an Arthro Roblox shirt. Both very mid items. So I will say this has some of the worst items, even though there's not many. It's hard to really rank this just because it's not your normal event, and it was good for what it was worth. Like, what it was supposed to do, it did that exactly. I believe it flopped a little bit because a lot of people were uninterested in it, and it didn't even break over 1 million visits, so clearly people were not that interested. So this was the lowest and worst performing one, but it was not a bad idea. It just didn't hit. Now, it's really hard to rank this. There's not much to say about it. But I will say this is not good, just because it wasn't enough. It was a good idea, it just wasn't enough. They needed better advertisement, more items, more of an incentive to play this game, because clearly it didn't have that since nobody was really interested. They didn't even break 1 million, which is very bad for a Roblox event, since most of them have nearly 100 million. It was a good idea, though. I like how they were trying to bring people together, Roblox developers together, to talk about and create more games and learn. It was pretty much mainly an educational system, and I do support that. It was a good idea, it just fell flat. And the items were not really worth going for at all. So I feel like they definitely should have made better items to bring more people in, because those were not good. Like, sure, they're free, but I'm sorry, they gotta be at least somewhat good looking, because if they're not, no one's gonna want them. You already have like the basic Roblox items in the catalog right now that are just already better alternatives. There's no reason to get that like shirt. Like, I don't think anybody wants that. I'm sorry. Next we have Roblox The Hunt, which was the first Roblox event of 2024 that really pioneered this brand new style of Roblox events that we see with the Classic and the Haunt, and in the games as well. Now, Roblox The Haunt probably had the worst hub, where there was literally nothing to do in it. All there was the games that you had to play to earn tokens to get the items for this Roblox event, which you had to pretty much do a lot, which a lot of people complained that there was just way too much, because you actually had to get 95 tokens, meaning you basically had to play 95 games in order to get every single item a part of this event. Now, there was 5 items that you can go for, which is less than the Haunt, I will say, but it actually had some pretty decent looking items. You had this necklace, which I don't really like too much, but I guess it's cool. I do like the staff where it has the Roblox logo on it in a 3D model way. It does look nice. I would never use any of these, but these don't look bad. The wings are also pretty cool. I like these as well. And I don't really like the hood or the crown. The crown's alright, but the hood I think is pretty mid. I feel like most of these items are just mediocre, but there's some decent ones in there. And this was the first of this brand new event type, so you gotta give them the benefit of the doubt there. Now, this offered the most amount of games a part of this event, which counted 100 different games. I'm not even gonna name them all, but there was a lot of them. But most of them were bad, and most of them didn't actually do much for the event. Some of them were actually very good, like Doors, Arsenal, 3008, Please Donate, Steep Steps, The Mimic, etc. Like, there was a lot of them that actually did put a good amount of effort into their event quests for this event. And you can argue that The Hunt had the best games, and I do think it probably did, but it also had the most, and technically it also had the worst, because there was a lot of them that were bad, and I think most of them were bad. But there was also a lot of good in there too. That's just what happens when there's like a lot. There's gonna be some good and some bad. In this case, there was mostly bad, but there was also some bangers in there as well. It's hard to really rank this because obviously the hub is definitely a downside when it comes to this. Graphically, it looks fine, but there's literally nothing to do in it. All there is with the Hunt is the games and the items that you get for free. But it was the hardest to get all the items in the Hunt than it is with any other Roblox event, because it took so long to do. You had to get 95 tokens, which is basically by playing and completing almost all the games. Which is good on a developer standpoint because it basically forces everybody, if you want to get all the items, to potentially play your game, or at least play most of the Roblox developers' games. So there's a high chance that they will play your game. But a lot of people complain that it was just way too long and way too hard to get them all. And I will agree, it was definitely repetitive to try to get them all. And that was definitely a flaw. There really just wasn't too much to the hunt. Obviously, it was just mainly just about the games, getting the tokens, and then getting the items. That's it. Wish they did a little bit more something for the event hub, but there wasn't too much to it. I would rate this is just your average deal. Obviously, we're going to put this in average. It isn't bad. It had the best games, but it also had the most games, so obviously it's going to have the best because there's a lot to choose from. But it also had the worst games as well. So for the most part, it did have some pretty good games and event quests to play, but it could have been better. And last but not least, we have Roblox The Games. The worst rated Roblox event, basically tied with The Haunt. Now, what was so bad about this event? This was more of an Olympic-based event, so a lot of the games were sports-related, which I don't think that's a negative thing. But this was more of a unique event, or a unique take to the hunt, basically, where you would join a certain team to try to get the most points, which by getting points, you have to complete quests in the hub and in games, which also by doing so, you earn points, which you could use points to get the items for the event. They took inspiration from the classic by adding hub quests and in-hub items to complete hub quests. But for the most part, a lot of their hub quests they honestly took a really long time to get, but they were also just pretty mediocre. There was like an obby, you had like archery, a flying thing. Some of it's decent and it's not terrible, but it didn't really feel like enough. The map design graphically was very beautiful, but it wasn't that big, and I didn't really like it too much. I do like the whole aspect where you have to pick a team and try to win. You know, you're competing with your team, so it's like, come on team, let's go Crimson Cats, we got this! That whole aspect was definitely good, but yeah, the hub just didn't feel that good, at least for me. I felt like it was pretty uninteresting. And as far as the items go, I think the items were probably the most dog shit out of any event, because it's all Arthro stuff that I don't think anybody cares about. And even if you had Arthro, they don't look good at all. Like, all of them are Arthro, except for maybe the racing kit, but that doesn't look good either. The wings were the only thing that was decent, and the crown that you get at the end was, I guess, somewhat okay looking. But I think pretty obviously this had some of the worst looking items. And I feel like that's the main reason why nobody really liked this event, because that's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, to actually participate in these events, is that you want the free items, and if they don't look good, then what the hell is the point in playing this? Now, there was 50 whole games, which is half of the hunt, but still is a lot of games to choose from, more than the classic, more than the haunt. Yeah, it's quite a bit. But for the most part, a lot of these games were pretty bad. Some of them had some pretty good ideas here and there. Most of them were sports related. I think Arsenal's event was pretty good. Michael's Zombies was pretty good. But a lot of them were pretty bad. And I feel like that's another reason why a lot of people do not like this event, is because a lot of the games were just not good. A lot of the events that they tried pulling off were not fun, or they didn't put that much effort into. There obviously was some good in there, like there is with every event. That's gonna happen, but I feel like for the most part, at least for me, it had some of the most unenjoyable event quests. I did like some of them though. They weren't all bad. You know, I'm not saying they're all bad, but I don't think the games were the biggest flaw. It was just the items, which was literally the main aspect and reasons to even play these events in the first place. And I think they were the worst selection of items out of any Roblox event probably ever. Nobody wants to wear some dog shit looking Arthro items. I'm sorry, but no one does. And I think it's pretty obvious that we are gonna put this in bad. This just was not a good experience. I would say it's definitely touching not good, but comparing it to all these, it's definitely bad, just because the game selection was alright, the hub was pretty mid, but dog shit items, that's enough to want to put it in bad. I think a lot of people would probably agree with that, which we know which one's going to be the best and which one's going to be the worst here, since there's only one contender on these lists. So we already know that the games is the worst, and the Classic is the best. Now, the Classic was the best just because of mainly the Event Hub. There was a lot more to do, a lot more uniqueness to it. The Event Hub carried it, yes. There wasn't as many games in the Classic. It had like the lowest. It had some decent games in there, but the Hunt ultimately won with the amount of games and the best games the Hunt definitely had. But the Classic was more enjoyable. I believe the items were better, even though there was a small selection. The Hunt did have the best items, but yeah, I would say the Classic is definitely the best. I don't even really need to explain it too much. I think everybody would really agree. And I already explained why the games is the worst. The games just fucking sucked with those dog shit Arthur items. Like, look at me, I look so cool, guys, look! Why am I getting bullied? But yeah, that's pretty much the list. Not the brightest future for the new age of Roblox events, but there's a lot of potential in there for some bangers. And I really hope they, I don't mind this formula with where you go to different games and complete quests. I think it's good because it branches out the players to actually play more games and potentially games they've never played before. And it's good that they're involving everybody. The Roblox developers, the Roblox players, and Roblox admins, and etc. They're involving everybody, which I think is very good, and I don't mind this formula. They just gotta do it right. And the Classic was the closest. Even though it did have some flaws, it was still the closest to doing it right. Same with the Hunt. So I have high hopes that they will be able to maybe take the community's words into consideration in making a better event. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about this list. Let me know if you would change anything. Let me know which one you think is the best and the worst. And that's pretty much it. Peace out.